think you should.
If you haven't heard the news already, a lot of big names in the Overwatch community are basically quitting Overwatch. They're leaving the game, they're making other games their main game, and it's happening at multiple levels. Community members are leaving, just you and me, average community members. YouTubers are leaving the scene, streamers are leaving the scene, and even pro players are leaving the scene, which is a big problem. It's a seriously big problem. And you may think I'm exaggerating here, but I'd like you to take your time to listen to what I have to say, because I say Overwatch has a lot of problems, but this one is by far the most severe problem in Overwatch. And here's why. You have different levels of a community in a video game. Overwatch has three groups, I'd say. You have the casual players that never play comp, they're just there to have fun. You have the comp players that mainly play to have fun but want to rank up as well. And then you have the pro players. The big problem here is that not just one group of players are disappointed. It's almost all of the groups. It's definitely the pros, it's definitely a lot of the community members, and it's also definitely the average player base. And before I get comments saying that you personally are still having fun with the game, that's great, that's fine. I'm going based off of a lot of Reddit posts, a lot of forum posts, and a lot of community members. Just because you're still having fun with the game doesn't mean a lot of people aren't. And I don't mean to put you down, I'm just saying that's my reasoning here. It's one thing if a game like Overwatch disappoints one group of players. For example, if you disappoint pros, it usually means the game is being balanced more for the average player base and not for the esports scene. If you disappoint the average players, it usually means the opposite. You're balancing for the esports scene and not for the average player base. But here we have a case where both groups seem to be disappointed. And that's not a good thing. I think that's actually an extremely bad thing, because it leads me to believe that Blizzard has not decided, is Overwatch a game for you and me, the average player, or is it a game that's going to be an esports, a game that will be played by pros? And you can easily say they want it to be an esport if you look at Overwatch League, but then if you look at recent balance changes, or rather the lack of a lot of balance changes, you'd say, oh, I'm not actually sure. Because the average community cares about balance changes too. So you have to ask yourself, who are they trying to please? In the case of Blizzard and how they treat Overwatch, I think the answer to that question is simple. They're trying to please everyone. They're trying to please you, your mother, your sister, your second cousin, that maid that comes around your house every once in a while to pick up your dog's poop. They are trying to please everyone. They're doing balance changes for the pro scene. They're also trying to maintain the community scene. They're also trying to balance the game for people that don't even play competitive, like with the custom game settings and all that. They're literally trying to please everyone. They want Overwatch to be a game that anyone can see and say, hey, I want to play that. I want to know more about that. They want the average person, not the average Overwatch player, just an average Joe off the streets that's never seen Overwatch before, to be able to watch the game and understand it on a very basic level. Those people need to kill those people and push this cart to an objective. That's pretty straightforward. A lot of people will be able to understand that. And they'll be able to understand the basic concepts of heroes too over time. But at the same time, they want the players in the game to be doing way more complicated stuff than just that simple logic. Advanced counterpick strategies, positioning, good aim, all of these mechanics that make Overwatch very hard. And Overwatch has become, because of that, a very simple game at its core with very complicated skins over it. At the core, the game means you kill the enemy 6 players and you take the objective, because there's always one objective you have to take. There's always 6 enemy players that you want to kill. There's no other change to the game other than that. It's always that. But the skins are different maps, are different heroes, are counterpicks and balance and all these other things that go over that simple core concept. The logic behind this is that people of every interest level in Overwatch can enjoy the game. If you have just a little bit of interest, you can maybe watch a few games here and there, play a few quick play matches. If you have a medium level of interest, you can learn more advanced strategies like counterpicks and watch the pro scene a little bit more. And if you're an advanced player, you can go all the way in and learn everything. Basically, people of every level, they can choose how much Overwatch they want to have in their life and enjoy it at that level. That's the idea, at least. But I think the gap between the basic simplicity at the game's core and the high skill level it takes to play at the highest level is too big right now. I'm going to explain why this skill gap is too big by comparing Overwatch to two games that I think are fair to compare it to. The first one being CSGO, which shares a shooter aspect with Overwatch, and the second one being Dota 2, which shares a hero selection aspect of Overwatch and a MOBA-esque-ness of Overwatch. I'm pretty sure anyone who's ever gamed before, and even someone who hasn't, can sit down and watch a CSGO tournament at its highest level of play and understand the basics of what's going on, and probably even enjoy it if it's something they're naturally inclined towards, guns or video games. This is because CSGO is simple at its core, but even at its highest level of play, it focuses more on refined, raw talent and skill and knowledge rather than a lot of knowledge, a lot of just knowing the metagame, and a lot of just trying to figure out what will, I guess, counter the enemy team like Overwatch. So even if you don't understand the game at all, you know those guys want to kill those guys and plant a bomb. Pretty simple. So CSGO is simple at its core and simple at the highest level of play. And I have to clarify here that simple at its highest level of play does not mean easy. I'm not saying CSGO is like a skillless game. Quite the opposite, actually. I'm just saying it's simple. That's not a bad thing. Now let's talk about Overwatch compared to Dota 2. Dota 2 is not like CSGO. If you don't know anything about a MOBA, you're not going to understand jack of what's going on in a tournament. It's not going to be easy. Even understanding MOBAs won't really be enough knowledge to fully understand and comprehend what's happening in a Dota 2 game. And someone who is a veteran wouldn't be able to explain it to you without teaching you a lot of core mechanics and explaining a lot of what Dota 2 is. Unlike CSGO, where they can just say, yeah, that gun kills with a headshot. In Dota 2, it's much more complicated. So why does it still get viewership? Why does it produce the biggest tournament, the biggest prize pool every single year? And why is it seen as a super successful game that makes Valve a lot of money and is just fantastic? Well, that's because Dota 2 has skins. Just kidding, that's not what I meant. It's because it's complicated at its core. So it's complicated at high level play, and it's complicated at its core. There are many map objectives in Dota. I think at its base you have 3 outer towers, 2 that are further in, more towers to take down. You have like barracks and like ranged barracks, and then you have, I don't know what they call like the Nexus or like the main thing you're trying to kill. Then you've got Roshan. And if you didn't understand anything I was just saying, then I've proved my point. It's complicated at its core. These are things you need to know just to like play the game, just to play your first game. You should probably know all these things. Hopefully you see what I laid out here. CSGO, simple at its core, simple at high level play. Dota 2, complicated at its core, complicated at the highest level of play. Overwatch, simple at its core, complicated at its high level play. The gap's too big. As you can see, the gap that I was talking about before we went into all this, it's too big. Other successful games have shown that the gap can't be too big. You can't try to appeal to too many people if you want your game to be successful. And that's what Overwatch is trying to do. It's funny, I can't think of why they thought this was a good idea. The reason I say I don't know what they were thinking is because Blizzard themselves have had 2 games that perfectly idealize what I was just talking about. StarCraft 2, complicated all around, much like Dota 2. Hearthstone, pretty simple all around. You may not know all the combos, you don't need to know everything to watch a pro Hearthstone player to say, hey, that was a good play. Like, it's simple. And yet they try to make Overwatch something for. Maybe they're just trying something new. Maybe this was their idea. Make the game for everyone. But I don't think that's possible. And that's why I think we have players in all regions of the community now getting fed up with it. Instead of trying to please one large group of players, a certain type of player base, the simple player base or the complicated player base. And yeah, I did just separate the player base into simple and complicated because even though it's more on a spectrum, that's the basic gist of it. Players that like more complicated things and players that like more simple things. Blizzard tried to appeal to all of them, and that's why none of them are happy. Because none of them are getting the full level of attention that they would be getting in a game like CSGO or Hearthstone, or complicated games like Dota 2 or StarCraft 2. They're getting half attention, and that obviously doesn't feel good to them. I don't think I can present a solution here. Maybe it's not even a problem. Maybe Blizzard's numbers are great. They're still making money, so what do they care? That could be the logic over at Overwatch HQ. I don't think it is. I think they want to make people happy, but that could be the logic. Let's assume they do want to fix it, though. I still can't present a solution. I think, and I've always said this, any game community is great at identifying a game's problems. They can see a problem in a game from a mile away. Players know. But you know what players suck at? They suck terribly at? Is suggesting solutions. And I'm no different. I don't think I can suggest a solution to a problem this complicated. I think I can suggest ways to fix the meta or balance a hero because that's on a much more minor scale. But I do not think I can fix a fundamental problem with a game. And I do believe this is a fundamental problem. I've suggested band-aid solutions in the past, like let's get a map with more than one objective, make the game just a little more complicated at its core, maybe, or add more heroes to the game to make it more complicated at its core as well, and, you know, bring it up to the level it is at pro play, or make more heroes skill-based, so once again, more complicated. Basically, I've put a bunch of band-aid solutions in for making the game more complicated at its base. Those are band-aids, though. I haven't presented any real solutions. That's something that Blizzard needs to do, and if they really want to fix it, I think they've probably already had long talks about this. I think they still need to continue with that unless they have a good solution in mind, and I guess I'll stop blabbering now. I don't have much else to say. Hopefully you get the direction of this video. I was talking about players quitting at every level. I explained why trying to appeal to all of them is a bad idea and used examples, and hopefully it all makes sense. If you see a flaw in my logic, please tell me down below. This is a topic I'm open to discuss, because Overwatch is a game I love. It's a game I want to love, but even I myself have seen myself not playing it because it's stale and it's boring for the same problems that other people have seen. Anyway, leave your feedback down below. I'd love to hear it, guys. I'll try to be very active in the comments with this video specifically. And if you're interested in winning free Overwatch stuff and watching a comedy sketch thing that I did, check out my 200K special video. It was great. A lot of people said it was my best video ever. So if you haven't watched it, really, just give it a chance. If you don't like it within the first 2 minutes, you can click off. It's a short video. Anyway, I'll see you guys all later. Have a good one. Lone Hawk out.